Hi dear students, welcome to our second session on Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Tuberculosis is a contagious disease like the common cold. It spreads through the air and only people who are sick with TB in their lungs are infectious. When infectious people cough, sneeze, talk or spit, they propel bacilli into the air. A person needs only to inhale a small number of these to be infected. Mycobacterium tuberculosis can infect any organ or tissue, but most commonly lungs are infected. Intestines, kidneys, bones, soft tissue, brain are the other organs which are infected by the Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Infection acquired by inhalation of infected droplets. Even though it is engulfed by macrophages, it will survive and multiply, and it will lyse the host cell and infect other macrophages. Someone in the world is newly infected with TB bacilli every second. Overall, 1/3 of the world's population is currently infected with the TB bacillus. 5 to 10% of the people who are infected with TB bacilli become sick or infectious at some time during their life. People with HIV and other immunocompromised conditions are much more likely to develop TB. 500,000 people die from disease every year in India. It's estimated that there is almost one death every minute. One cough produces 500 droplets, so the average TB patient generates 75,000 droplets per day before therapy. This falls to 25 infectious droplets per day within 2 weeks of effective therapy. Several factors, including the number and virulence of the infecting bacilli and host factors, includes genetic susceptibility, age, immunocompetence, stress, nutrition, and coexisting illness like HIV influence the outcome of the infection. There is various modes of infection. The first one is a pulmonary tuberculosis that is caused by the droplet nuclei. The person-to-person infection occurs by the inhalation of the aerosols, and it happens mainly in the case of Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Infection also occurs infrequently by ingestion, for example through infected milk, and rarely by inoculation, and it takes place mainly in the case of Mycobacterium bovis, and this will be resulting in intestinal tuberculosis. And the third mode is through the contamination of abrasion or inoculation, and it happens through the laboratory workers and it will result in skin infections. There are mainly two types of tuberculosis, the pulmonary tuberculosis and the extrapulmonary tuberculosis. After the inhalation of the tubercle bacilli, they multiply in the alveolar macrophages and an early tubercle or the granuloma is formed. That is, within 10 days of entry of bacilli, the clones of antigen-specific T lymphocytes are produced, which can activate and produce cytokines interferon. This will gradually activate the macrophages to form the cluster or granuloma. The essential pathology in tuberculosis is the production in infected tissues of a characteristic lesion, the tubercle. This is an avascular granuloma composed of a central zone containing giant cells with or without cessation and peripheral zone of lymphocytes and fibroblasts. Tuberculous lesions are primarily of two types, the exudative and the productive. The exudative type is an acute inflammatory reaction with accumulation of edema fluid, polymorphonuclear leukocytes, and later of lymphocytes and mononuclear cells. And this is typically seen in when the bacilli are many and virulent, and the host response is more in the nature of delayed type hypersensitivity than of protective immunity. Whereas the productive type of lesion is predominantly cellular, associated more with protective immunity than delayed type hypersensitivity. This is a diagram of a granuloma. The only specific immune mechanism effective is the cell-mediated type. Humoral immunity appears to be irrelevant. The key cell is the activated CD4 plus helper T cell, which can develop along two different paths, the Th1 and Th2 cells, releasing cytokines such as interferon gamma, interleukins 1 and 2, toxic necrosis factor alpha, and other exerting different biological effects. The Th1 dependent cytokines activate macrophages, resulting in protective immunity and containment of the infection. The Th2 cytokines induce delayed type hypersensitivity, that is DTH, tissue destruction, and progressive disease. Lesions healing or progression of infection depends upon the dose of infecting mycobacteria, resistance and hypersensitivity of the host. Glycolipids on the outer surface of bacteria act as a virulence factor, and it enhances granuloma formation, inhibit migration of polymorphonucleocytes, and help survival of tubercle bacilli inside macrophages. Depending on the time of infection and the type of response, tuberculosis may be classified as primary and post-primary tuberculosis. Primary tuberculosis is the initial infection by tubercle bacilli in a host. In them, the bacilli engulfed by alveolar macrophages multiply and give rise to a subpleural focus of tuberculous pneumonia, commonly located in the lower lobe or the lower part of the upper lobe, called the Gone focus. The hilar lymph nodes are involved. The Gone focus together with the enlarged hilar lymph node constitutes the primary complex. This occurs about 3 to 8 weeks from the time of infection and is associated with the development of tuberculin hypersensitivity. The primary tuberculosis does not progress in most cases and it undergoes shrinkage with fibrosis, calcification, and sometimes ossification. Healed primary complexes are quite small and may be hard to detect. The infecting organisms are not totally eradicated and viable bacilli may persist for years and perhaps for life. The post-primary or secondary tuberculosis is a type of tuberculosis due to reactivation of latent infection or exogenous reinfection and differs from the primary type in many respects. It affects mainly the upper lobes of the lungs, the lesions undergoing necrosis and tissue destruction leading to cavitation. Lymph node involvement is unusual. The necrotic materials break out into the airways, leading to expectoration of bacteria-laden sputum, which is a main source of infection to contacts. Here the granuloma occurs in apex of lungs. The memory T cells releases cytokines, cause tissue destruction and necrosis called tuberculomas or seizures necrosis. The cavities may rupture into blood vessels, spreading bacilli throughout body and in sputum, causing systemic miliary tuberculosis. Secondary tuberculosis in 10% cases is caused by HIV infection, alcoholism and liver cirrhosis, malnutrition, diabetes, old age, steroid and immunosuppressive therapy. Miliary tuberculosis may develop in any organ of the body. Certain tissues like heart, striated muscles, thyroid and pancreas are resistant. Localization sites are the bone marrow, eye, lymph nodes, liver, spleen, kidneys, adrenal, prostate, seminal vesicles, fallopian tubes, endometrium, and meninges. The clinical manifestations include temperature elevation, usually in mid-afternoon, night sweats, weakness, fatigability, loss of appetite and weight, productive cough, blood-streaked sputum called hemoptysis. Secondary tuberculosis in cervical lymph nodes is termed as scrofula. In eye, it's ocular tuberculosis, and in meninges, it's tuberculous meningitis. Kidney, renal tuberculosis, and in adrenals, it causes Addison's disease, and in bones, tuberculous osteomyelitis, and in fallopian tubes and epididymis, It's genital tuberculosis. Coats phenomenon. Coats phenomenon is a combination of hypersensitivity and immunity. It is a response of a tuberculous animal to reinfection. When a healthy guinea pig is inoculated subcutaneously with virulent tubercle bacilli, the puncture site heals quickly. After 10 to 14 days, a nodule appears at the site of injection which ulcerates, and the ulcer persists till the animal dies of progressive tuberculosis. If, on the other hand, virulent tubercle bacilli are injected in a guinea pig which had received a prior injection of tubercle bacilli 4 to 6 weeks earlier, an indurated lesion appears at the site of injection in a day or two, which undergoes necrosis to form a shallow ulcer. This ulcer heals rapidly without involvement of the regional lymph nodes or tissue, and this is called the Coats phenomenon. Coats phenomenon has got three components: a local reaction of induration and necrosis, a focal response in which there occurs acute congestion and even hemorrhage around the tuberculous foci in tissues, a systemic response of fever that may sometimes be fatal. So the complications of tuberculosis involves meningitis, pleurisy, involvement of kidney, port spine, bone joints, miliary tuberculosis. Pulmonary tuberculosis refers to the major involvement of lungs, and there is chest pain, fever, anorexia, cavity formation in lungs, and hemoptysis. Extrapulmonary tuberculosis. Since the bacteria on circulation leads to bacteremia, it leads to the involvement of other organs, gut, genitourinary system, meningitis, gastrointestinal system, skin, lymph nodes, bone marrow, and also cause spinal infection like sport spine, and it also cause arthritis. Coming to the laboratory diagnosis of Mycobacterium, the specimen collection depends upon the clinical presentation, and it can be sputum, pus, urine, cerebrospinal fluid, pleural or acidic fluid. And in the case of pulmonary tuberculosis, sputum is best collected in the morning before any meal. Sputum sampling on 3 days increases chances of detection. The sputum is collected in wide mouth containers, and the processing include the physical examination like the quantity, color, consistency, and the presence of blood in the sputum, and direct smear stain by Seale-Nielsen method, and then there is concentration Petrov methods for the homogenization and concentration of sputum and other specimens. The acid-fast bacteria demonstration in sputum smear and culturing in Lausten-Jensen media, the biochemical identification, antibiotic sensitivity test, and the skin testing include the delayed hypersensitivity tuberculin test, protein purified derivative test. Also X-ray and the molecular methods like PCR can also be performed for the laboratory diagnosis of Mycobacterium tuberculosis. In direct microscopy, the smears are dried, heat fixed, and stained by Seale-Nielsen technique. The smear is covered with strong carbonyl fusion and gently heated to steaming for 5 to 7 minutes. The slide is then washed with water and decolorized with 20% sulfuric acid till no more stain comes off, and then with 95% ethanol for 2 minutes. Decolorization may be carried out as a single step with acid alcohol. After washing, the smear is counterstained with methylene blue, 1% picric acid, and 0.2% malachite green for 1 minute. And under the oil immersion, acid-fast bacilli are seen as bright red rods, while the background is blue, yellow, or green depending upon the counterstain used. When several smears are to be examined daily, it is more convenient to use fluorescent microscopy. Smears are stained with auromin phenol or auromin rhodamine fluorescent dyes, and when examined under ultraviolet illumination, the bacilli will appear as bright rods against a dark background. Because of the contrast, the bacilli can be seen even under the high dry objective, enabling large areas of the smear to be screened rapidly. Concentration methods have been described for the homogenization and concentration of sputum and other specimens. The commonly used method include the Petros method. This simple method is widely used, and in this the sputum is incubated with an equal volume of 4% sodium hydroxide solution at 37 degrees Celsius with frequent shaking till it becomes clear on an average for 20 minutes. It is then centrifuged at 3000 rpm for 20 minutes and the sediment neutralized with HCl and used for smear, culture and animal inoculation. Excessive exposure to alkali is deleterious and should be avoided. Culture is very sensitive diagnostic technique for tubercle bacilli, detecting as few as 10 to 100 bacilli per milliliter. The concentrated material is inoculated onto at least 2 bottles of Lg medium. If the specimen is positive by microscopy, a direct drug sensitivity test may also be set up. Cultures are examined for growth after incubation at 37 degrees Celsius for 4 days with 5 to 10% of carbon dioxide, and we have to examine it every day for growth for rate of culture identification. After incubation at 37 degrees Celsius for 2 to 8 weeks, the colonies appear as buff-colored, dry, irregular colonies with wrinkled surface and not easily emulsifiable. The colonies are creamy white to yellow color with smooth surface. On liquid media, more sophisticated equipment is required and there is faster detection of growth and there is higher sensitivity than solid media, and it can also be used for drug susceptibility testing. 2 examples of liquid media used are Bactec and MgIT, and it appears as long serpentine codes in liquid media. These allow the result to be given in 2 to 3 weeks, but these are available only in advanced laboratories. Next is the identification by the biochemical test. We have already discussed about the biochemical test in detail in the previous part. Next is the sensitivity test. The first is the absolute concentration method, in which a number of media containing serial concentration of the drugs are inoculated and the minimum inhibitory concentrations are calculated. The second is the resistance ratio method, in which 2 sets of media containing graded concentration of the drugs are inoculated, one set with the test strain and the other with the standard strain of non-sensitivity. Next is the molecular typing. DNA fingerprinting differentiates different strains of Mycobacterium species. Treating the organism with restriction endonuclease yield nucleic acid fragments of varying length and strain specific, and these are used in epidemiological studies. Various methods such as enzyme-linked immunosorbent assay ELISA, radioimmunoassay, lattice agglutination assay have been employed for detection of antibodies in patient serum. However, diagnostic utility of this method is doubtful. The next one is the allergic test. Tuberculosis infection lead to the development of delayed hypersensitivity to Mycobacterium tuberculosis antigen, which can be detected by Mantoux test. It is otherwise known as the tuberculin test. In this, 0.5 ml of purified protein derivative is injected intradermally on flexor aspect of forearm, and the site is examined after 48 to 72 hours. Induration of 10 mm or more is considered positive, and the positive test leads to red area at the injection site. A positive test indicates previous exposure and carriage of tuberculosis. A negative tuberculin test excludes infection in suspected persons. Tuberculin positive persons may develop reactivation type of TB. Tuberculin negative persons are at risk of gaining new infections. False positive reactions are mainly due to infection with non-tuberculous mycobacteria. False negative reactions may be due to severe tuberculosis infections like the miliary TB, Hodgkin's disease, corticosteroid therapy, malnutrition, and also AIDS. Children below 5 years of age with no exposure history and in that case the positive test must be taken as suspicious. Other methods for diagnosis of tuberculosis include the radiometric method that involves the BACTAC and it is fully automated. Here there is rapid growth and the results can be obtained within 7 days. And the next one is the PCR, which is having high sensitivity. And one of the disadvantages of this is that it cannot differentiate between the living and dead bacteria. Both will be reported positive in the case of PCR. In the prevention of tuberculosis, general measures such as adequate nutrition, good housing, and health education are as important as specific antibacterial measures. Immunoprophylaxis is by intradermal injection of the live attenuated vaccine developed by Calmette and Guerin, the Bacilli Calmette Guerin or the BCG. This is a strain of Mycobacterium bovis attenuated by 239 serial subcultures in a glycerin bile potato medium over a period of 13 years. Injection of BCG in animals induces self-limited infection with multiplication and dissemination of the bacillus in different organs and production of small tubercles. Within a few weeks, the bacilli stop multiplying, although they survive in the tissues for long periods. This gives rise to delayed hypersensitivity and immunity. 0.1 ml injected intradermally on the deltoid muscles soon after birth, and the immunity lasts for about 15 years. BCG is not given to the infants and children with active HIV disease and to the babies born to AFB positive mother, that is acid-fast bacilli positive mother. The recognized complication of BCG vaccine includes, in the local area there will be abscess, indolent ulcer, keloid, tuberculosis, confluent lesions, leukoid lesions, lupus vulgaris. And in the regional part, there will be enlargement and suppuration of the draining lymph nodes. In general, there can be fever, erythema nodosum, tendency to keloid formation after wounding at other sites, and very rarely non-fatal meningitis may also occur. Chemoprophylaxis or preventive chemotherapy is the administration of anti-tuberculous drugs, usually isoniazid, rifampicin, pyrazinamide. Isoniazid is taken in the 5 mg per kilogram daily for 6 to 12 months is the usual course. Trials have shown that this reduces the risk of developing active disease by 90%. Of the bactericidal drugs, rifampicin and pyrazinamide are called sterilizing drugs because they are able to effectively kill the bacilli in the lesions. Isoniazid is effective only against replicating bacilli and streptomycin only against extracellular bacilli. The bacteriostatic drugs include paraamino-salicylic acid and cycloserine. The bactericidal drugs along with the bacteriostatic drug ethambutol constitute the first-line drugs in anti-tuberculous therapy. The old practice of daily administration of drugs for 2 years or so has been replaced by short course regimens of 6 to 7 months, which are effective and convenient. A typical example of such a schedule for a new smear positive case is a combination of 4 drugs HRZE given 3 times a week during an initial intensive phase of 2 months followed by 4 to 5 months of the continuing phase with only 2 drugs, that is HR 3 times a week. Due to a combination of lapses in prescribing practices, drug delivery and patient compliance, resistance has built up in tubercle bacilli over the years, reducing the efficiency of treatment. A very serious consequence of unchecked drug resistance has been the emergence and spread of multi-drug resistant tuberculosis, that is MDR-TB. Though the term multi-drug resistance means only resistance to 2 or more drugs in the context of tuberculosis, it specifically refers to resistance to rifampicin and isoniazid. This is because Rifampicin and isoniazid form the sheet anchor of short-term chemotherapy, and any strain resistant to both these drugs are unlikely to respond to treatment. When first-line drugs become ineffective, second-line drugs have to be tried. Large numbers of old and new drugs are being used, like the quinones, aminoglycosides, macrolides, para-aminosalicylic acid, thioacetazone, cycloserines, capneomycin, and in this context that the directly observed therapy under supervision, that is DOTS, becomes important. This strategy can prevent deterioration of the resistance problem by ensuring the patient's compliance. DOTS is the name given to the World Health Organization recommended tuberculosis control strategy. Here there is TB monitoring and case detection by sputum smear microscopy, and standardized treatment regimen directly of 6 to 9 months observed by a healthcare worker or community health worker for at least the first 2 months. And it also includes a drug supply, a standardized recording and reporting system that allows assessment of the treatment results. So the DOTS has been proven to prevent the emergence of MDR-TB and also to reverse the incidence of MDR-TB where it has emerged.